Uh, Very good evening, everybody. Today we are here to discuss a really important topic, and which has been, getting a lot of traction, which is how do Web2 companies, instill the qualities of the Web3 ecosystem. So right now we have got Nitish and Sadiq from Nazara and Lysto. What they have done is they have bridged the advertising landscape for the gaming industry. So let's get into a discussion and see what they have done and how they got about it. All right. So for starters, I would like Sadiq and Nitish to just introduce yourself to the crowd, please.
Yes, sure. Hi everyone, I'm the founder and CEO of Nazara Technologies. We are India's only listed gaming company. Operate in the games IP business, esports business, real money gaming space, and also now working with Lysto in the Web3 space.
Hi, I'm Sadiq, and I am founder and CEO of Lysto. We are primarily a gaming platform enabling game studios to test and grow their games. Yeah, we are collaborating with Nazara to launch what we call as the growth protocol. It's the world's marketing blockchain.
Right. So one important part that I want to start with is Nazara is India's only listed gaming company, and they are pretty big in the Web2 gaming space. They have got games, esports, as well as their own publishing. So a major firm is actually, getting into Web3, and that is what has brought us over here right now. So, I want to start by discussing what kind of thought process goes behind when a Web2 company tries to instill Web3, and what made you make the jump?
No, sure. I mean, we as a company have been around for over 2 decades. So, constantly evolving oneself in new technologies is extremely important for us to survive over such a long period of time. 25 years now, I think, right? We're not even Web 2, I would say Web 1 or Web 0.1 to now Web 3. So I think the constant evolution of a business is extremely important, and that's what we're trying to do. I've been personally Web 3 enthusiast for many years, but running a listed company, it's important that you take the right steps at the right time. And I think we believe that now the time is good. We've been actively looking in the last 2-3 years. We have invested in a few Web3 companies, I would say. KGN is one. I think Stan Parth was just speaking is another one. Circle of Games we have invested. And with Lysto, we thought we could expand that partnership into doing something deeper and more meaningful. I think that's where this whole growth protocol really comes from.
All right, would you like to add anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, so we work, at Lysto, we work with both Web2 and Web3 companies. For us, I mean, when we started out, it didn't matter from a playtesting perspective. But what we figured out while we were talking to a lot of game studios, we started realizing that most of the profits, data, margins are today hoarded by centralized companies. And while the digital marketing spends itself are growing at a good rate, the bang for the buck for advertisers as well as, say, consumers on the other side is diminishing. So and the profits are increasing. That's where Nitish and me discussed, and we started working on what we call as growth protocol to effectively, it's like it's a contribution from both the companies to the crypto community to make sure that there is equity built in back, which is advantageous to both the sides. So that's the background.
All right. So just for the crowd, Nazara and Lysto are working together on the growth protocol. So essentially, they are decentralizing the advertising space. So I wanted to ask you, what opportunities do you see in decentralizing the advertising space?
Yeah, yeah. So in continuation to what I was saying earlier, from a market perspective, though the digital marketing space itself is growing, the players are losing out on both the sides. So what we wanted to build out at Growth Protocol was a bunch of decentralized protocols to enable digital marketing applications. Examples of such applications would be ad networks, ad exchanges, influencer management platforms, loyalty platforms, etc. So this kind of forms the basis and infrastructure layer for such applications to be built on top of us. Right?
So as I understand, when it comes to advertising, there are two main components. One is the brands, and the other part is the publishers or the influencers. So, how do you leverage Web3 to create this synergy between these two people?
Yeah. So it's not synergy. I think it's more matchmaking in a way. So let's take a typical example, right? You probably set up a campaign on one of the ad networks that's shown in one of the publishers, who has probably added a Google code to show certain ad. Now, in this scenario, as an advertiser, I don't even know where it is being shown till someone clicks on it and comes back, and then
Right.
you do.
Good point.
So there is a general lack of transparency, and there is also a general, and it also results in these companies being the gatekeepers as such. So what we're trying to do with the growth protocol is not to be those gatekeepers, build open protocols which would result in people actually knowing where their ad goes, what kind of cost structures exist. So the cost structures should be visible in some sense. And data should not be owned by anyone except the users. That's the back.
Okay, so I mean, growth protocol is essentially trying to remove the gatekeepers, the current gatekeepers who are, kind of having an opaque structure when it comes to the type of output you're going to get and type of investment that you're going to make. So that way, Web3 can basically, provide clarity and openness to all parties involved. This one is essentially a question for Nitish, because he has been running Nazara for so long, and it's a huge organization. So I wanted to know your thoughts on Web3 adoption. What do you think, should one go for an incremental upgrade, or should one go all in at all once? What do you think should be the process, and how do you go about it?
For a company like us, which has most of its revenues and users on the Web2 in the Web2 world, obviously we can't go all in, which can potentially disrupt our existing business. We are a listed company. We have a few 100,000 shareholders. We're regulated very strictly here in India. SEBI is very active. So I think there's a lot of aspects we have to think about before we take an all-in position. At the same time, like I was saying earlier, we cannot be turning away from the progress of technology, but that's the most easy way to get disrupted. And therefore, we need to find the right balance, and I think that's what we are doing. We've been looking at this space for a few years, taking small steps now, focusing a lot on what is it that's going to be really valuable for our consumer. Today, 100 million users a month that we have. What is it of the Web3 world or of Web3 components that we can introduce to our Web2 users that really bring value to them and have them migrate to the Web3 world, right? Okay. So I think that's what we are focusing on.
Okay. And Nazara has got, as I mentioned, a long list of games that you have. Do you plan on, involving Web3 components into them in the near future?
Absolutely. I think that's what we're trying to do. We're looking at rolling out a Web3 loyalty platform across our network. That's one initial project that we're working on.
Yeah, I think it is highly overdue for India to, have a cricket game with Web3 components, and I think Nazara is going to bring that to us real soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And all right, I'm gonna go a little bit technical for the developers who are over here and see like what is in for them. So, if you could share your thoughts on customizable smart contracting, I think Growth Protocol is uh, is leveraging like smart contracting for to facilitate the
Yeah.
trade, right? So, can you?
Yeah. So Arijit, the way we have built this out, so let me break it down for the convenience of others. So the objective is every campaign known in the world should run on chain. That's our goal. And why is that, right? Effectively, that means that from an advertiser standpoint, he creates a campaign. We want to put this campaign on chain via tokenization. So it will have what we call as tokenized campaign assets. That is one critical component of this. Which means it could be a display ad, it could be a quest, it could be a task, it could be a playtest, it could be any kind of activity that the advertiser wants to propagate through influencers, through publishers. With that, so that's one part of, that's one primitive that we are building. The second primitive is a bunch of smart contracts which set smart goals. So the moment you have a campaign, you want to set a goal. The goal could be CPM, the goal could be CPI, or any other kind of goal, user acquisition goals that you would have. Again, those goals are embedded in what we called as smart goals, and effectively, again, available for any kind of any kind of publisher, distributor to pick it up. The third key component is basically once this is picked up, how does one measure whether the goals were met, right? So this is by what we call as proof of performance, which is effectively an attribution tracking tool to make sure the campaigns that ran, the goals that were defined were met by the publishers that took it and advertised. And the last bit is when this happens, the payment or the settlement should be near instantaneous. Effectively, you don't have to wait for 3 days to get the payment. So the objective will be that the moment the goals of proof of performance are met, then there is automatic instant global payout. So these are the 4 key components that we have as a basis. These are the primitives that we have built out. Now, on top of this, as developers, there is up-team number of opportunities that developers could actually build on top of it, right? Let's take some examples.
Sure.
If you have ad inventory on-chain, as an example, then people could build real-time bidding contracts or building dApps, which would make sure that this helps the publishers to pick them up. Or since the attribution metrics are on-chain and immutable, people could build fraud detection algorithms for the campaigns that already ran because this data is effectively public. Over a period of time, people could actually index these ads, could effectively use them as database to train certain AI agents which could probably be customized for either the advertisers or publishers. So you don't need to depend on one single large company's algorithm to define how this would go forward. So yeah, so this is some of the basics of the protocols that we are building.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure like it's gonna help a lot of developers over here to know what they need to be doing as well. So I wanted to ask you another question on behalf of somebody who is just starting off as a developer. Like, they have so many things to learn from, like what kind of platforms or what coding should I do. So, like on a general terms, could you tell me like the general skill set that a Web3 developer right now should like get into,
Yeah.
especially while developing these kind of smart contracts?
Yeah. Um, crypto is a little weird space. Okay. So there are so in a regular software industry, right? You would go by saying, "Oh, I know this language. I probably work on these kind of applications, either in a domain or in the industry." Uh, there is this component of philosophy that comes in crypto. The whole space, the blockchain space, came out of the need that there should be as little centralization as possible, right? I mean, it used to exist uh, you take, I mean, the best example of a decentralized network is the internet itself, right? I mean, it's not like someone owns it, someone switches it on, switches it off. Or, as an example, SMTP protocol, right? I mean, it's not like someone controls it. It's a extremely open protocol where people have built clients out of it. You can move from one email provider to another and still use your same email ID as such. Unfortunately, what happened was over a period of time, there were gatekeepers that built and tried to mold the internet around them. So this is a philosophical fight between people who want everything to be owned by everyone versus a few holders. So the reason why I'm saying that is a crypto developer essentially should believe in the philosophy of that it is possible. It's near impossible. I mean, we're fighting big guys. But a fundamental thing is he should believe that. Other than that, of course, I mean, there is languages, there is solidity, there is all of those. Those are primarily developer questions. But more importantly, does the technology lend itself to a solution which probably was either inefficient in the Web2 world or was not even possible, as an example, right? So like, for example, at the growth protocol, we believe that digital marketing in its current state is extremely inefficient because it favors only a few players in the ecosystem. And hence, instead of trying to build a single application, we are going around as an ecosystem. We said I mean, the typical ways is you attack large ships through small boats, right, as an example. So we are basically following that string of pearls strategy to say there will be multiple set of applications which would attack that large ship. That's how.
Thank you so much for that insight. All right. You know, I was wondering, Nazara has been operating for more than 2 decades now. So obviously there must have been so many changes that you must have done to stay in the game. I mean, we have got so many examples like Nokia and BlackBerry who were on top, and you know, their reluctance to adapt with new things eventually led them to collapse, unfortunately. So I wanted to know, like, while you're adopting Web3 elements right now, is there any other disruptive technologies that you're looking into, like AI or basically any other things that you might?
Yeah, I think right now we are, from a gaming perspective, our focus is on 3 things. Web3, I mean, on new innovation, I would say. I would say Web3, of course, is something we already spoke about, and we all are here for that. I think AI, without doubt, is just going to disrupt all our lives. Will disrupt even faster and on a bigger scale, and more faster than any of us are expecting right now. So I think we are very active on that. We have a AI task force that is rebuilding how games are developed, how users are engaged, using a AI first or a AI native approach. We're working with many ecosystem players on that front. And the third is something we believe from a gaming world, the whole virtual reality, extended reality, while it's gone through many cycles of hope, hype, and pessimism, we believe it will really take off in the nearer future, maybe next couple of years, 3 years. And so we are also investing a bit in that.
Okay. Yeah, I have actually read somewhere that Nazara is doing a lot of stuff in AR, VR. So, do you think like having like these type of new age technologies, uh, promotes new users to come and try it out, try out a new platform, and does it actually help with your existing customer retention? Like, do the gamers actually want to check out these new things, or do they just want to play the game and that's it? That's about it.
Look, there are always some early adopters who will be excited about new technologies, but they also have to have the relevant ability to play those games, right? For example, if it's VR, out of 100 million users that we have, how many would actually have those headsets to be able to play it? So, of course, most of them are playing our existing products, monetizing there, thankfully. But things change very fast, and we have to be ahead of the curve. Not too ahead, but we still have to be a bit ahead of the curve.
Right. Uh, like, I want to continue this question with you, Sadiq. Like, when it comes to the AI elements, I want to know, like, about the data sets, marketing D-apps, and training models that the growth protocol is going through.
Yeah. So there is this, like all hype in AI right now, right? There is this marriage between crypto and AI, which has been long expected in some ways, primarily driven by the fact that, I mean, multiple paths to this, like a lot of creative content is being automated, generated by AI. So there is this need of people wanting to make sure whatever was generated was original in some case, to make sure there is validation using blockchain to do that. But there is also this concept of AI agents, which effectively means that these are tools which would be customized for your own purpose. Now the point becomes is how do you uniquely identify those agents, because probably they are exposed to different data sets, they're exposed to different kind of learning. That's another space that's coming up. So for us, the focus is how does that pan to be becoming the validation and verification tool for such kind of agents. And secondly, does our eventually does our set of inventory of ads, campaigns, metrics, etc., become the source of training many of these agents. So yeah, that's the direction that we are looking at right now.
All right, thanks. I want to get into like the local market. So I understand that there are so many like AI elements that you are trying to bring in. So are you planning to develop these things in-house, or are you planning to involve other people as well?
Yeah. So fundamentally, right, with any infrastructure player, you need reference dApps. You need applications which probably show you what's possible, which was not earlier possible. So, like Nitish was mentioning, right, our first dApp is effectively a decentralized loyalty platform, which would work across a set of games. That's the first dApp that we are launching. So that will be a reference loyalty dApp, and then we are also working on, I mean, right now early, but I mean, ability to like what I said, to show ads, to display ads via using blockchain as an interface, right? In some ways, sorry. So these are the reference dApps that we are going to build out. But in the long run, and I did explain that strategy, in the long run, it's not that we alone can make a change or disrupt this. It's with an army of development partners and developers that we are going to build that. So we launched our testnet today, which is gated testnet, and we are inviting any developers who are interested to build on this.
Take notes.
Yeah, and definitely we are. I mean, we'll be working with those developers to enable that.
All right. On a similar page, Nitish, I wanted to know, like, you know, for such a big company like Nazara, I'm sure you must be working with many partner companies, trying to find out, like, you know, what works best to have these emerging technologies. So, like, in your experience, what have you, like, you know, what have you experienced in talking with these other companies? Are you guys always like on the same page, or the ethos or the mindset is quite different? Like, for example, like somebody might try to have some kind of Web3 element for the purpose of decentralization, but some other person would actually focus on the transparency part. So I would like to know, like, in your discussions with other partner companies, like, are you guys often on the same page, or are you having like your own thought process about the same technology?
Well, we are all human beings and we're usually never on the same page, right?
Yeah.
With anybody on anything. So, starting on that, I think if your question is specific to Web3,
Yeah.
I think it's early days for us because we've been largely passive investors till now in a few Web3 companies.
All right.
And I think this is the first real Web3 project where we are far more going to be actively involved. So we'll figure out where we stand on that in the time.
So I want to add, so I think his question, correct me if I'm wrong, was, it's probably for me, how is it with working with Nazara probably, right? I mean, yeah, because, so effectively, so we are a 3-year-old company. I mean, so I mean, we are much more startup-y than Nazara. So, so there are two aspects. When I can add to that while Nitish gave his side, but it's more important for me to tell you how it's been working out for us, right? So it boils down to the founder. This is, I mean, this goes into a generic philosophy. What I have seen is, I mean, we've been known each other for 3 years now. Nitish is extremely receptive to things that he doesn't know. And there are obviously things which he doesn't know, right? And extremely confident of things which he knows. and opinionated on things which he knows, right? So, so what happens is that gives us a good complementary skill set. That's one part, so which makes working together easy also. The second is our teams are aligned accordingly to work with each other that way. So I think, I mean, my team is also here. I don't think we have faced any major issues working with Nazara. In fact, we've been taking the steps together.
That's awesome. You know, I'd quickly like to know about the local talent pool in India. Is that sufficient for the Web3 disruption? So the topic that we have in hand is bridging the gap. Like, is India self-sufficient to bridge the gap from Web2 to Web3? What do you guys?
Yeah, so I don't know. Today there was this Web3 report that came in, which
Fast emergent.
Tak launched today, right? It had this. I don't know the right English word. It was like the state of Web3 in India, right?
Right.
So the second largest developer pool in Web3, as per that report,
it was India.
It was India, right? I think we're way ahead. I mean, if second largest developer pool is out of India, then we have. Now, there are two aspects to this. Are they building for India or are they building globally, right? In crypto, there is no building for a particular region in general. I mean, it's the whole reason is that it needs
Right.
to be decentralized, distributed, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, we are very extremely happy that, I mean, we are the second largest. We haven't found any difficulty in hiring or a gap of skill set. General software development skill set is a challenge anywhere, but nothing specific to Web3. Yeah.
I mean, it's good to know that India is ready for the Web3 revolution. So that's good to know. Nitish, how do you envision India's role in shaping the Web3 gaming ecosystem? What are your thoughts on that, and how influential would India be in Web3 gaming?
I'll zoom out a bit and talk about where India will be in gaming per se, because it's a reference point for Web3 also. I think India stands in a, when I started the company 25 years back, really nothing existed. But I had a dream that India will someday become quite big in gaming. I would see all my college friends spend all their time in gaming, right? Even this is 99 I'm talking about. So I think we made a huge progress because of many macro factors. Firstly, India was never a PC or console gaming country because those devices didn't exist. So it's when the mobile phones started coming in, and especially when the 5,000 rupee Android phone started coming in, you had a gaming device in each Indian's hand, right, which you have today. That was a big change. The second thing was India today is the lowest cost in the world in terms of data, fairly fast, reliable data on the mobile, which has been a big game changer. And the third is digital payments, UPI, etc., collecting micropayments. We're way ahead of the curve when it comes to many other countries, including Western markets. So many of these macro factors I've seen change over the last decade, especially. Point number one. We, of course, have a youth demographics. And I think there's a big cultural change happening in our country. When I was growing up as a kid, my life would revolve around cricket. Right? I would go down to play cricket. I would talk to my friends about cricket. I would watch cricket, etc. Right? Whole life was revolving around that. Now with my kids 10 and 7, their whole life revolves around only gaming. Not that my wife likes it, she shouts at me twice a day about it, but that's the reality. They will come home and they want to play Fortnite. Right now, both my kids are hooked to Fortnite, right? So they're fully on it. They're talking, socializing with their friends. So I think India is going through this huge macro cultural shift on gaming. And that's one aspect. The second aspect is developing games in India for the world. I was talking about the home consumption market. In the last decade, a lot of the global gaming companies set up back offices in India. And a lot of people have learned design, graphics, coding was always there in India. But how to design a game, how to monetize a game, I think a lot of that talent is now coming up in India. So I think generally India stands to become what I like to say the gaming nation of the world. People don't believe it, but I think it will happen in the next 5 years. And gaming will make more money in India than anything else, any other entertainment combined. Also, you're seeing the government recognize it. Our Prime Minister this year from the Red Fort spoke about gaming, right?
Yeah.
And had a call to action saying Indians should not just play games, they should make games. Now, he's not saying Web2 games or Web3 games or Web4 games, right? He's talking of gaming. So I think
About building.
Yeah, so I think about building. Now, if you overlap that with what we just spoke, that India has the second largest Web3 developer community in India, there's no reason that Web3 gaming should also not emerge and become very big out of India.
All right. Thank you so much, Nitish and Sadiq, for this wonderful conversation. Does anybody have any questions for them? All right. You, sir. Please introduce yourself and then direct the question.
Sure. Nitish and Sadiq, lovely conversation here. I'm Sai, and I run a company called Mittersain Solutions, and I'm founder CEO. We majorly work with Metaverse and XR and Web3 gaming and we consult them. And I've been enthusiast come learner from the last 3 years. So more of being in this space, especially with when you said VR, XR spectrum, I think there is a little bit of awareness issue or like marketing issue where there are so many service providers. They don't have one place to experience the solutions or apps that are the users are building, and the users don't have access spectrum that is there. So from Nazara, I think, are there any efforts, especially you mentioned you're working with VR companies, especially where experience centers or experience zones of this sort could accelerate your adaption? And it is a key problem with the industry, I feel. And apart from interoperability as a factor, are there any efforts towards partnerships with Roblox or other metaverse companies, especially with XR? That integration has to happen. So I wanted to know, what is the roadmap coming up, especially with these these factors being the hurdles, I feel.
So from Nazara perspective, currently we are focusing more on making games or IPs on VR, and not so much for the Indian market, but for the global market. And we are looking at maybe a couple of acquisitions in that space of studios that are already doing that. Again, maybe out of India, or we'll see. Right? We haven't yet thought of marketing VR in India or offline zones or experiences like I'm mentioning. I think fundamentally the challenge today in India is the affordability of these devices, which are very expensive from Indian standards, right? Quest and all these, Apple Vision Pro and all, they are very expensive. So it's just the early adopters or the high-end tech enthusiasts who will pick it up today. That said, as we all know, technology accelerates very fast. Even today, a Quest 2, Quest 3 experience has become very good. I play it at home and it's fantastic. It's just that the accessibility is not there, and that will change. So I think that will change in the next 2-3 years as more affordable devices come out.
And on that point, right, just to add on, I think a lot of the folks are missing the mobile VR part, where Geo Dive itself, it's the easiest accessible device, like probably lowest in the spectrum. And there are other players who are providing AR headsets, like SenseXR, which is 2,500, sitting at 2,500. So what I feel is the entry point to the customer, there's a perception that there's an hardware is an issue. But what I feel as a learner and expert in this area, the entry point has to be educated that, okay, this is the entry point of yours. I think especially that's where I meant, like where the experience of 360 degrees of the spectrum has to come across, where Web3 gaming also comes in, because it's a whole ecosystem, right? So I think was meaning on that
Sure.
front.
We'll be happy to learn more from you.
Sure. I would love to take it offline. Thank you so much.
Great. Do we have any other questions, or can we wrap up? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And be on the lookout for Growth Protocol. All right?